What's going on, everybody? My name is Aiden and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are going to be discussing whether or not the Chicago Bulls are actually playing better than we first anticipated, or whether or not they're actually not playing that well. Now, at the end of the day, the Chicago Bulls are on a 2-game win streak. They beat Charlotte Hornets twice in 2 games that they should be winning. And that might seem to a lot of people like, okay, the Bulls are doing A-okay. They're winning games. They're doing well, beating teams that we should be beating and stuff in between, which I absolutely understand. However, performance-wise, watching the games and dissecting this Bulls team, are they actually playing that well? We're going to discuss it in this video. Before we get any further, if you like the video and you want to see more from me, drop a like, drop a follow, and or subscribe if you are new. And let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the Chicago Bulls and whether or not they are playing well in your eyes, in your standpoint. Do you think the Bulls are doing okay? Do you think there are problems with the Bulls that are still being ignored, and everything in between? Now, since this whole Zach LaVine injury saga that happened a couple of months ago, the Bulls have a positive record, I believe, which is an indication that in some way, form, or fashion, the Bulls are playing well on a longer-term basis. The wins and the losses are coming our way and stuff of that nature. But recent form has really taken a dump, in my opinion. And that is something I want to talk about. Because, again, winning 2 games, still being 4 games below 500. We've been about 4 games below 500 for a couple of weeks now. So we're stagnant at least. We're somewhat stuck. And that's better than going all the way down in a downward spiral. But it's still not necessarily an indication that the Bulls are playing well in their recent form. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say the last 4 games I've seen from the Chicago Bulls have been very poor to watch, and they've not been great performances. Now, in two of those games, you get wins, and all of a sudden, people might not think that way. But the performances themselves, watching it from an eye test standpoint, I don't necessarily like how the Bulls have been playing in those last 4 games. And I think there is future worries to come if we can't pick our performances up in the defensive end and the offensive end. But why have we been struggling then? The Bulls, again, are still winning games. What's the struggle for the Chicago Bulls? Well, let's take a deeper dive into that. First and foremost, we can't deny injuries have played a factor. Again, there were a lot of games where we didn't have Caruso. There was one game specifically we didn't have Caruso and Patrick Williams. A lot of games we missed Nikola Vucevic. And I don't care what anybody says. Vucevic has his liabilities. Vucevic may not be the most amazing player you'll ever see on the Chicago Bulls team, but what he brings to the table offensively is massively missed. Again, the assist numbers dropped massively with Vucevic out of the lineup. And you cannot make that stat up. It's there for everybody to see. The hockey passes, the pass to assist, the general assist numbers all fell down when Vucevic was out of the lineup. Pick and rolls became a little bit harder to achieve. And at the end of the day, those are massive factors. There were some games where we may have not needed Vucevic. The game against Atlanta comes to mind, where Drummond was the perfect starter to play in that game because he's a much better pick and roll defender. Atlanta loved the pick and roll, so you had the ability to stop lobs. You had the ability to kind of hinder Trae Young a little bit. And it made a lot of sense to play Andre Drummond. And he had a phenomenal game. His best game of his entire Bulls tenure, which is fantastic to see. But then there are other games where we felt like we needed a backup center. When Drummond was in foul trouble, or Drummond is not the key matchup you could probably use in that situation. You know, games maybe against Philly where you need another offensive threat, where we only had 90 points and stuff of that nature. You need that extra boost. We didn't get that with Nikola Vucevic out of the lineup. So again, Vucevic was well needed. You know, you can make your arguments about Zach LaVine. You can make your arguments about other guys. But I think Vucevic was heavily missed in this Bulls team thus far. And getting him back in these last 2 games, again, especially in this game, he absolutely dominated. And the assist numbers began to rise a little bit, which is phenomenal to see. So that's one area where I feel like the Bulls have really got hurt with. And that's injuries. Injuries to key guys, injuries to role players. They all add up in the end. So that's one thing that I think takes away these Bull performances. But let's talk at number 2. Number 2, playing badly away from home. This is a well-known fact for the Chicago Bulls as well that I don't know how many people are talking about, but I get the sense that not a whole lot of people are talking about it. The Bulls have a very good home record. We seem to defend home court fairly well. We have a positive home record, but a negative away record. So in my eyes, this just, again, it's just a basic eye test. The Bulls don't know what it takes to win away from home. Now, I'm thankful we beat the Charlotte Hornets away from home, but let's be honest. The way that I see it, if we versed any other team in that Eastern Conference, maybe unless we're versing Detroit, if we were versing the Hawks, if we were versing the Raptors, if we were versing teams like Brooklyn, if we were versing upper echelon teams like Boston and Milwaukee, that performance ain't going to cut it, ladies and gentlemen. It just isn't. It's as simple as that. I think we were lucky that we faced Charlotte in these 2 games and this game away from home, because if it was anybody else, we might have lost that game. We might have been embarrassed away from home again. So we got to, again, it's not something that's too hard to comprehend. It's something we're going to take a deeper look at the end of the day. It's as simple as that. The energy isn't necessarily there. There are a lot of stretches in these away games where we don't score the ball and we end up struggling from the field. I think our defensive pressure from the very beginning of games sometimes is lackluster, and you give a couple of big leads away. We saw that against the Charlotte Hornets today. We gave away an 8-point lead within 2 minutes of a game. That's very disappointing. And again, I just don't know if the Bulls truly have that final cut, you know, that final, I guess, edge to them to really seal some wins away from home, to go and steal some wins away from home, or to go and actually dominate on someone else's home turf. We don't have that final edge. We don't have the capacity to do that, in my opinion. And again, I think it kind of shows in the records that we have away from home. So we'll have to wait and see. Ultimately, these are just some of the reasons why I feel like the Bulls are not necessarily playing well. You can make the Zach LaVine excuse all you want at the beginning of the season. That's fine. Zach LaVine has come back into the lineup, has not been very selfish, has been very selfless as a player. And, you know, Kobe White's still having his games. DeRozan is still having his types of games. Vucevic and Drummond were playing phenomenal basketball. You know, again, these last 2 games, I wouldn't necessarily consider Zach LaVine's fault. But the other games, you could make an argument there. And again, even when Zach LaVine was out, these issues have still been going on for quite some time. So that's something we're going to take a look at, in my opinion. But put it this way, we've got some winnable games coming up, I would say. I believe our next game is against the Houston Rockets. Then we've got a Warriors and Spurs back-to-back. I feel like, personally, all 3 of those games are winnable for the Chicago Bulls. Now, the hardest one would obviously be the Houston Rockets, the way that they're playing. Again, they've got dynamic scoring. They've got some solid defenders as well. And they've got a young team that seems to be all in rhythm right now, which is good for them. Happy that they're getting success, because it felt like they were going to be the worst team in the West. And they've proven not to be the worst team in the West. But other than that, the games are winnable. I think Houston is winnable. I think the Warriors are winnable. The Warriors at the moment, it seems like nothing is going their way at this point in time, and an opportunity to beat the Warriors at home is an opportunity I'm willing to take. We've already beaten San Antonio twice, so there's an opportunity there to beat them one last time. That would be an interesting sight to see. But these games are going to be tests to see how well the Bulls are truly playing, because I get the sense the Bulls are playing better, or at least they're looking like they're playing better, because they're playing opposition that are a lot worse than them, significantly worse than them. I don't see the Rockets as significantly worse than the Bulls. In fact, I would say they're slightly better. And for the Warriors, I don't see them as significantly worse than the Bulls, but they're still not playing well. So these are opportunities to win these games. And right now, with how the Bulls have played in their last 4 games, I honestly don't know if I can sit here and tell you I'm confident that the Bulls will win these games. But that's the test now. That's the test to truly see how well we are actually playing. Because my answer to you is whether or not the Bulls are actually playing well is no. I think we are getting hidden in many ways based on the teams that we're playing. We are hiding how bad we are actually playing. But if we can win those games, some winnable games for the Bulls, but also some tough tests there, that kind of will indicate to me truly how well the Bulls team has been playing, how well they can play in the future as well. Let's hope these last 4 games, even in the wins and the losses, is just a bad run in form and not our consistent form going forward. Because I don't know if I can see these types of performances every single game going forward with how easy or how easier our schedule is about to become. There's some opportunities to put some teams away there. We must do the job. What do you guys think? Thank you for watching. Drop a like and a follow, and or subscribe if you are new. Do you think the Bulls have been playing well, or do you think that at the end of the day that these last 4 games have not been that impressive and we need to see better in the future? Have a wonderful and safe day. See you in the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.